Looking at our next submission here, this one comes in from Zachary from Hawaii. Zachary had a little back and forth with me after I had my vacation in Hawaii. It was fantastic. My wife and I went out there for our anniversary. I did a show with Grant from the balcony of our hotel. It was great. Zachary reached out. He submitted some mailbag questions back then, so I reached back out to Zachary and asked him if he had a question here. Now, I had to paraphrase because Zachary's question was a little bit longer, so I'm going to read the entirety of it. If you have issue with the way it's phrased here, blame me, because the buck stops here, baby. I take the grief. Not Zachary. I do, because I phrased this. I wrote all that. He wrote this. Listen here. His question was, there's a lot of speculation around Kyle Shanahan's plan and how he might be on the hot seat, or is at least acting like he is on the hot seat. Is it a possibility he is trying to get traded away, like tanking on purpose, especially since he wanted Mac Jones and didn't get him? And he might want to go to an organization where he can make the decisions. What teams would want him if yes? So I'll go through this in parts. Is Kyle actively on the hot seat, or at least acting as if he is? Absolutely. That to me is 100% true, even if it's just slightly acting as if he is on the hot seat. He is making what I would label as desperate moves that speak to someone who is fearful, that speak to someone who is wrapped up in their own head a bit, that is caught up in where they are in this season as it's unfolding in a way that was not predicted by anyone in the national media, barely anyone of the beat writers guild, right? I'll give credit to Grant Cohn, who correctly predicted that the 49ers would struggle this season, but I don't think even he predicted correctly the way in which it unfolded. I think that this season has yet again unfolded in a way that is a bit of an enigma, and it leaves fans super frustrated. Another part in the question that I'll address here, is it possible that Kyle truly wanted Mac Jones and was convinced otherwise or forced to draft Trey? To the second part of that, no, I do not believe at all that Kyle was forced into anything. From what I know of Kyle, that doesn't fit. Could it be? Yes, it could have happened that way. It is a possibility, but I will say in my mind, it's a very slight possibility because I see Kyle as someone who has a very large ego. Someone who, if he didn't sign off on this quarterback, if he didn't love them, I just can't imagine him folding. I can't imagine him saying, you know what? I don't think I can win with this guy, but sure, John, go ahead. No, I think he would fight tooth and nail for the guy he wanted if he believed the other guy wasn't great. Could he have been talked into Trey over Mac? Yes, absolutely. I do think of Kyle Shanahan as a very analytical individual, a very logical individual. I consider myself to be a very logical individual. If I go into a dialogue where I'm speaking with someone who I value their opinion, I trust where they're coming from, their motivations, I trust their judgment, I trust their ability to execute on these decisions, much like I'm thinking Kyle trusts John Lynch. If I go into a dialogue with that individual with one thing in mind, I certainly can be talked out of that opinion. I'm a fan of logic. If we engage on Twitter, if you and I get into a back and forth on Twitter, feel free to present new facts to me. If I find those facts to be compelling, I will change my mind. So yes, do I think Kyle could have changed his mind on Trey Lance? Yes. Do I think it's likely? Probably not. So I think Kyle went into this as Trey, first and foremost, that Kyle wanted Trey Lance. Sure, he might have liked Mac Jones. And yes, I think it bothered him that people were saying, hey, if you take Mac Jones, we're going to riot. I think that bothered him to no end. That's a completely different topic. But I don't think that he was forced into any scenario where he took Trey. So the question is, would he then force his way out of town? I don't think so. Again, I go back to Kyle's ego. I think at this point in time, as head coach, if he wanted out of this organization, I believe it would be a bit more transparent. I don't think he would shoot himself in the foot. I believe Kyle has one thing in mind, and that is winning football games. I do think that he is mentally impacted at this point, potentially fear, potentially a little bit of uncertainty with the way things are playing out, and therefore he's not coaching at the top of his game. But no, I do not think he is intentionally tanking. The last part of that question, absolutely teams would want him. I am definitely still in the camp that believes Kyle Shanahan has trade value at this point. And whether he's tanking or not, I don't think it's out of the question to consider that at some point, if things don't go the 49ers' way and they were to get a phenomenal offer for Kyle Shanahan, I'm not entirely sure that they wouldn't take it. I think they'd consider it. I mean, look at it from John Lynch's perspective. That could be an opportunity for John Lynch to save his seat on the bus. If he traded away Kyle and got back a couple of first-round picks, that could change things. Now, again, as frustrated as I am not advocating for the trading of Kyle Shanahan, nor would I support that logic. I am still on the train where I want to see how this thing goes with this head coach. He passes enough of the eye test for me that I believe the other issues are fixable. And I'll go one step further to say I believe that they're fixable in season. I believe the 49ers can right the ship this season. It's not too late, 49er faithful. It is not too late. But who in the world might want Kyle? I can think of a couple teams right off of the bat. The Las Vegas Raiders. They seem to be in a little bit of dysfunction. What better way to take the focus off of what has occurred, which is just strange and awkward and socially not a good place to be from an organizational standpoint. Certainly the NFL isn't happy about the conversation being back here at this point in time with a well-recognized face within the league. Or the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, talk about a dumpster fire. Jeez, man. Urban Meyer, what are you doing there? So yes, do I think there are teams out there that would give up significant draft capital in order to get Kyle Shanahan onto their teams? Yes, I absolutely believe it. But again, I would not move on from him yet. End of this season, if there's no progression for Lance, and I mean no progression, God, what a frustrating imaginary scenario that would be. You have to at least entertain it at that point. You have to ask the question, can Kyle develop Lance? The evidence from my research, going back through Coach Shanahan's previous tenures with various teams and rookie quarterbacks, the evidence suggests to me that no, there is no evidence he can develop that player, that he can pour into Trey Lance and take him to the next level. The best example we have of it is Matt Schaub, where Kyle was the quarterback's coach the first year they brought in Schaub, and then the offensive coordinator for 2 years. Schaub got progressively better each season. But Schaub was a fourth-year NFL vet coming off a 3-year contract in Atlanta. He was not a rookie green coming into the league. And there is a big difference. A very big difference, especially when it comes to the confidence level of someone who is new to the NFL versus someone who has the experience, years in this league, even if it's carrying a clipboard, the time necessary to get used to the speed of the NFL, of which a rookie has none. When you look at the rookie development of the other two clear instances that you want to look to, RG3 and Kirk Cousins, you do not see progression from those two. And those circumstances leave me to question whether, in fact, Kyle can develop Trey. I want to see some development happening in season this year. I am old school. I want Trey in for multiple snaps every game. Yes, go ahead. Start Jimmy for now. Sure, the season still has hope. I'm with you on that. Go ahead, Shanahan. Go ahead. But don't allow Trey to go multiple games without seeing a single snap again. You brought him in because you said Jimmy can't stay healthy. Jimmy didn't stay healthy. Like, how did you not prepare for this? You told us that that's what was going to happen, and it did. So it's not a shocker. Not a shocker.